morning! Hi, I'm Kelsey. I have my hat, and today I am bringing you my February and March book haul. I have 10 books here, and I got 8 of them used and 2 of them new. The used ones I got at 4 different used bookstores, and the new ones came from Book Outlet, and I was very proud of myself for being restrained and only buying 2 books on Book Outlet. So I'm going to start by showing you the used books, and the first ones I'm going to show you are books that I have previously mentioned on this channel that I've been planning on reading. And the first 2 are Wintersmith and I Shall Wear Midnight by Terry Pratchett. I showed you in my first book haul video that I got The Shepherd's Crown, which is the final Discworld book and the final book in this Tiffany Aching sub-series for Christmas. And I mentioned that I wanted to reread the series. These are young adultish books that follow a young witch named Tiffany Aching. The first 2 books are The Wee Free Men and A Hatful of Sky, and I own both of those. But these 2, when I first read them, I got them from the library. And I am beyond pleased to have found these new editions. These new editions of the Tiffany Aching books came out to match the cover design of The Shepherd's Crown, and I think these are just absolutely gorgeous and a vast improvement in my mind over the original American covers, at least for these 2 books. And I found them used for incredibly cheap, but they are like new. They are brand sparkly new editions, and they are in perfect condition, so I could not be more pleased. I also mentioned in a previous video that I was reading Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern trilogy in preparation for rereading the first 2 books of the Harper Hall trilogy, which is the sequel trilogy, and then reading the 3rd one. And the one book I was missing was The White Dragon, which is the 3rd book in the first trilogy. And I almost bought this used online, but then I thought as soon as I buy it, I'll find like a $1 copy somewhere in like a used book bin. And so I didn't, and then I found it for 48 cents. 48 cents book, yay. So now I have all the books that I need to continue on with this series. And now the rest of the used books. I was very happy browsing a used bookstore to find Winter Rose by Patricia McKillip. And I want you to take a second and just admire this cover, because this cover has got to be one of the most gorgeous book covers I have ever seen in my life. I read one of McKillip's earliest books, The Forgotten Beasts of Eld, a while ago, and I thought it was just stunning, and I have been wanting to read more of her books, both her older books like this one and her newer books, which also look like things I would really enjoy. I have her entire Riddlemaster trilogy, and that's what I'm going to be reading next. But this one is a book that Goodreads recommendations has been specifically recommending to me for a very long time. And Goodreads recommends this book to me because I have read like all of my favorite books in the world. So I really don't know what this one is about, except that it is a fantasy novel. But this is a book that I know my library didn't have, so I knew I was going to have to either purchase it or get it from interlibrary loan if I wanted to read it. So I was really pleased to stumble across this used copy. And the last 4 used books I'm going to show you were actually the first books that I bought in the month of February, and they were a total impulse purchase. Well, not total, I don't like really impulse purchase, I always look books up first. And they are the Tales from the Kingdom series by Cynthia Voigt, V-O-I-G-T, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Voigt? Anyhow. And I had been seeing these matched sets of these gorgeous editions of these books popping up in used bookstores, and I had been thinking, I have no idea what these books are, where did they come from, what are they? And then like the second time I saw all 4 of these books with these matching spines that make a pretty picture, all together in a used bookstore, I actually went and looked them up on Goodreads, and I discovered that they are completely rebranded, and that the first book, The Tale of Gwyn, is actually a book that Goodreads Recommendations has been recommending to me for some time now under its original title of Jackaroo. These books were published throughout the 80s and 90s, and they are a loosely connected fantasy series that all take place in the same kingdom, but follow different characters over a large span of time. And these rebranded editions seem to have come out... Oh no. And these new editions seem to have come out in 2015 with this gorgeous new cover art and new titles in an attempt to rebrand these books as more of a cohesive YA fantasy series. And this one, I will tell you, was specifically recommended to me by Goodreads because of several Robin McKinley books I read, and also because I read Lloyd Alexander's Westmark trilogy. So I'm sort of fascinated by that combination of recommendation elements, and I thought I'd give it a go. And since there were all 4 books, and because this is a successful marketing campaign to make you believe you need all 4, I bought all 4. Also, it would be just cruel to just buy the first book and then leave the other 3 without the first book for someone else to find at the used bookstore, right? Logic. So the first book is The Tale of Gwyn, previously published as Jackaroo. The second book is The Tale of Burl, previously published as Fortune's Wheel. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the character's name correctly, but there you go. The third book is The Tale of Oriel, previously published as The Wings of a Falcon. Aren't these covers gorgeous? The last book is The Tale of Elske, another name I'm not sure I'm pronouncing correctly, E-L-S-K-E, previously published as Elske. And these books are definitely going to be short. They're older YA and the text is very large. But I am really hoping that I like them all enough to keep them because they would be gorgeous on my bookshelf. Then the last 2 books I have here are my very restrained themed book outlet order. Yes, themed. And they are both Fantasy of Manners with Dragons. And these are both books that I've been wanting to read for a while, that I was planning on getting from the library, but they were both on Book Outlet at the same time in very limited quantities, and since there was like a theme, I just bought the 2 of them. And they are A Natural History of Dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent by Marie Brennan, and Tooth and Claw by Jo Walton. This is the first in a series. It has some mixed reviews on Goodreads, but the premise sounds like so much my cup of tea. This is about the daring Lady Trent, who's a dragon naturalist, defying social norms to become a scientist and study dragons. Doesn't that just sound delightful? That sounds delightful. And Tooth and Claw by Jo Walton is a fantasy of manners with dragons in a different sense. Instead of this being a human society where there are dragons, this is a dragon society. And this is apparently written like a 19th century novel, but all of the characters are dragons. I cannot wait. Jo Walton has written sort of a lot of different types of books within the umbrella of speculative fiction, and this just seems so different from her other stuff, but also like really cool, so I'm going to read this. I'm happy about that. And that is all. Those are my 10 books that I have. Once again, happy spring. If you've read any of these books or like heard things about them or have any other book recommendations for me, please leave a comment and I will be happy to hear from you. Again, happy spring. Bye for now.